Picking up where we left off at, I told you all to line these numbers up, these mixed numbers vertically. So we have 31 and 1/8 minus 17 and 2/5. We want to find a common denominator for these fractions here. So I'm going to go off here to the side. I will have 8 and 5. 8 breaks down to 2 and 4. And then it breaks down to 2 and 2. And that's the prime factorization of 8, which is 3 2's. And 5 is prime, so we'll bring down our 5. So our LCD will be these 3 2's and the 5, which is 40. So what we will have here is this here. We'll bring over our whole numbers, minus 17 and the 31, and our denominators would be 40. Now we'll do like we did in other problems. We'll take the new denominator, which is 40, divided by the old denominator. 40 divided by 5 is 8. So we'll multiply our numerator and denominator by 8. 5 times 8 is 40, and 2 times 8 is 16. 40 divided by 8 is 5, and we multiply our numerator and denominator by 5. 8 times 5 is 40, and 1 times 5 is 5. Now, if you notice here, our fraction on the bottom is larger than our fraction at the top here. So that means we need to borrow one from this 31 here. So first thing we would do is this here. We'll write down our bottom fraction here, which is a minus 17, 16 over 40. And then up here, we borrowed one from the 31, so that becomes 30. Our denominator stays 40. And then what I told you all before, you take your denominator plus your numerator, 40 plus 5 will give you 45. And that will be your new numerator. So 45 minus 16 will give us 29. And that will be over 40. And we add 30 minus 17, which is 13. So our final answer here is 13/29 over 40. Now we go down here to problem 11. We have 6½ times 3 1/3. Remember, we must change these mixed numbers to improper fractions. So first of all, we know our denominators are going to remain the same. So our denominator will still be 2 here and 3 here. So our numerator, 6 times 2 is 12 plus 1 is 13. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. Now, what I tell you all to do is this here. Do the prime factorization here. Now we know 13 is already prime. But 10's prime factorization, if you needed to write it to the side, that's fine. It's 2 and 5. So it'll be 13 times 2 times 5. And our denominator, 2 is prime and 3 is prime. So we simplify out what they have in common, which is one set of 2's. So we will have 65 over 3. Now I told you there are two instances where you would end up with a mixed number for your answer. One instance is if you start off with mixed numbers. The other instance is if the directions tell you to write your final answer as a mixed number. So since we started off with a mixed number, if we can make this improper fraction into a mixed number, we must. So we would take 3 into 65. 3 goes into 6 twice. 3 goes into 5 one time. And we have a remainder of 2. So our final answer here, we will have 21. Our denominator will remain 3, and our numerator would be 2. So it's 21 2/3. Now we go here to number 12. First of all, we have a negative times a positive, which we know our final answer is going to be negative. Now this is what we could do here. Let's take the prime factorization of 15, which we could write here, which would be 3 and 5. So we'll write 3 times 5. Prime factorization of 12. This breaks down to 2 and 6, and then 2 and 3. So we will have 2 2's and 1 3 for 12. So it'd be times 2 times 2 times 3. Now our denominator, 16. We can take the prime factorization of 16, which is 2 and 8, then 2 and 4, and then finally 2 and 2. So our prime factorization here is 4 2's. So we'll write 4 2's down for 16. Then the prime factorization of 35 is 5 and 7. So we'll write that down for 35. Now we simplify out what they have in common. They have one set of 5's in common, and we have two sets of 2's in common. So now we have 3 times 3, which is 9. 2 times 2 is 4, times 7 is 28. And we will write our final answer here because we know our answer has to be negative. So it's a negative 9 over 28. And we're done. Okay, now let's scroll down here to number 13. Now we have a negative divided by a negative, which is positive. So what we would do is this here. We would add 8 over 15 times, and we take the reciprocal of the second fraction, which would be 25 over 6. Now we did the prime factorization of 8 before, but I'll do it again. We have 8 here, it'll be 2 and 4. 2 is prime, and 4 breaks down to 2 and 2. So we will have 3 2's. So 8 breaks down to 2 times 2 times 2. 25 breaks down to 5 times 5. So we'll write 5 times 5 for our 25. Now in our denominator, 15 breaks down to 3 times 5. And finally 6, it breaks down to 2 times 3. Now we simplify out what we have in common. We have one set of 5's here. We have one set of 2's here. And that's all they have in common. So we'll multiply. 2 times 2 is 4, times 5 is 20. And 3 times 3 is 9. So our final answer here is 20 over 9. Since we didn't start off with a mixed number and our directions didn't ask us to write this as a mixed number, our final answer would be 20 over 9. Now we look here at number 14. The first thing we have to do with 14 is change this mixed number to an improper fraction. So 3 3/4 will become 15 over 4, and that'll be divided by 10. And we'll make that 10 over 1. So this would be 15 over 4 times 1 over 10. Now we already found the prime factorization of 15 over here, which would be 3 times 5. And since we have this 15 times 1, we know that it'll really be 15, so we don't have to write the 1 here. Now 4, prime factorization of 4, we know is 2 and 2. And the prime factorization of 10, we know is 2 and 5. These 5 simplify out, and you will be left with 3/8. Now we scroll down here to number 15. It says an 8-minute egg is cooked for what fraction of an hour? First of all, we know it's 60 minutes in an hour. So it'll be 8 over 60. Now on the previous page, we did do the prime factorization of 8, which gave us 3 2's. But we didn't do the prime factorization of 60, so let's take care of that now. 5 times 12 is 60. 5 is prime, 12 is not. 12 breaks down to 2 and 6, and 6 breaks down to 2 and 3. So our prime factorization of 60 is 2 2's, a 3, and a 5. So now we add 2 sets of 2's that'll simplify out. And our final answer would be 2 over 15. Now we go to number 16. While shopping at the grocery store, Mars noticed that a 24-pack carton of juice had 8 cans missing. What fraction was still in the carton? So first of all, we know it's a total of 24 cans that was originally in the cart. So 8 is missing. So we have to take 24 minus 8, which will give us 16. Now in the previous problem, we did do the prime factorization of 16, which was 4 2's. Now we didn't do the prime factorization of 24, which we would do here. So we could have 2 times 12. 12 breaks down to 2 and 6, and 6 breaks down to 2 and 3. So we have 3 2's and a 3. So we have 3 2's and a 3. So we simplify out 3 sets of 2's, and our final answer is 2/3. Now, we go here to 17. Online, you find a recipe for chili con queso. Its ingredients are, we see the ingredients here. You want to make 1/4 of the recipe. How much Velveeta cheese should you use? Now remember, the key thing is it says we want to make 1/4 of the recipe. Now 1/4 we know is 1/4. Of means multiplication. And now we do the recipe, which is the Velveeta cheese, which is 1 1/2. Now we know we have to change this 1 1/2 to an improper fraction, which will give us 3/2. Now we look here in our numerator. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 is already prime. And we know 4 and 2 has no factors of 3. So we could just multiply. So it would be 3/8 pound. And there's no other simplifying. Now 18. If a sandwich is cut into 12 equal parts and 2/3 of it is eaten, how many pieces of the sandwich were eaten? So we look here, we have 2/3 of, which means multiplication, it is eaten. So first of all, we want 2/3 of how much was eaten from the sandwich, because it says how many pieces of the sandwich were eaten. So it'll be 12/1, because it's 2/3 of the 12 equal parts. So now, we already did the prime, well, we know the prime factorization of 2 is 2. Prime factorization of 12, we found out earlier there was 2 2's and a 3. And 3 times 1 we know is 3. These 3's simplify out, and that will give you 8/1, which your final answer would be 8 pieces were eaten. Now, we scroll down here to problem 19. Now, we have 2 1/3 minus 1/6 plus 1/2. Now, if you notice here in 19 and 20, both of these parentheses are exactly the same. So what I do to this one parenthesis, we would do to the other parenthesis. So first thing we're going to do is go inside this parenthesis. We need to find a common denominator of 6 and 2. So we can go off here to the side. 6 breaks down to 2 and 3. And we know we already have 2 here. So our LCD, we have 1 2 here and 1 2 here. Whenever both of them have the same amount of one number, we'll write that amount they have in common, which here would be 1 2. And then since this one is the only one that has a 3, we'll bring down the 3. So our LCD would be 6. So we'll write this here. So I'm going to take this to the side. So we'll say 6 divided by 6 is 1. And then we'll multiply that by the numerator and the denominator. So 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 6 is 6. Now 6 divided by 2 is 3. We'll multiply the numerator and denominator by 3. And that will give you 3/6. So this will end up being 4/6. But we know we can simplify that. 4 breaks down to 2 times 2. And 6 breaks down to 2 times 3. These two simplify out. And you will be left with 2/3. So we had 2 1/3 minus 2/3. That's what will be left from this parenthesis here. And since there's nothing else can be done in the parenthesis, we just bring it down. Now, if you notice, let's line this up vertically. We have 2 1/3 minus 2/3. Now, if you notice, this fraction is larger than this fraction, so we know we have to borrow 1 from here. So when we get here, we'll have our minus 2/3, and this will be 1. Our denominator will be 3, but our numerator, remember, we take our denominator plus our numerator. So that will give us 4/3. 4/3 minus 2/3 is 2/3, and we bring down our 1. Now we come over here to problem 20. Now we look here at our order of operations. We have addition, division, and a parenthesis. Now we already solved this parenthesis in a previous problem. So let's do that. This parenthesis came out to be 2/3. Now, that's what we did in the previous problem. Now we look here. 2/3 divided by 2/3 we know is 1. We have 1/4 plus 1. And we know whenever we add a fraction to a whole number, we just combine them. So it'll just be 1 1/4. And we're done with that problem.